kikao kuhusiana na haki za watoto hususan katika masala ya uajiri.
It's not just a legal violation. It is a social injustice that robs our children of their childhood. It robs them of their dignity and their future. It undermines their rights to education, health, rest, and play, which are important for their well-being. Child labor entrenches cycles of poverty and denies society the innovations and contributions that an educated and empowered generation could bring. If we are to take seriously the promises of our Constitution, our laws and developmental aspirations, and our Vision 2030, and our Sustainable Development Goals, then we must take seriously the fight against child labor. Our court is central to this fight, and I really want to thank Comrade Dr. Atwoli and the entire River movement for the work you have done over the years, because we have reached where we are because of those struggles every day, never losing sight to the bigger goal that we must protect and promote the rights of our workers. We must bring to the table as a family the employers and employees so that together we can attain our common goals of development. The court has come this far, adjudicating disputes and advancing the rights of workers, including the most vulnerable. And this work is indispensable. We must continue increasing the capacity and the visibility of our court. Through the court's jurisprudence, it has provided a safeguard against exploitation and a mechanism for accountability in workplaces. You need to hear the success of this story so that you can celebrate the work you have put towards this, and probably you can enhance the quality of your memoirs, because it is not for nothing that you have labored in the labor movement to have a court of distinction. The performance indicators of this court reflect a judiciary that is responsive and efficient. I want to share the results of the financial year 2024-2025 from our Employment and Labor Relations Court. The backlog of cases in this court decreased by 12%, declining from 4,370 cases to the previous year. Right now we have 3,864 cases. And we came from 13,788 in the year 2019. This reflects a 60% reduction of backlog. This is really reading statistics, not only in Kenya, but in the region, because I've been to the region where they have no idea what are labor disputes. They are all handled together with the other matters. I can see Caroline acknowledging this, because we also receive a lot of jurisdictions coming here to benchmark. So when we beat ourselves to the pulp to say we have failed, we must always remember to celebrate, acknowledge, and encourage people who are really working so hard to ensure there is justice in our labor relations. So this progress is not an abstraction. It is as a result of tireless work of our judges, our registrars, and staff of ELRC. your dedication to timely and fair adjudication, your openness to innovation, and your consistent commitment to the Constitution are what have enabled the court to achieve the remarkable reductions in backlog and pending cases that we celebrate today. Even more importantly, our court, our Labor Relations Court annual symposium reflects a court that is forward-looking in its vision, a court that looks at how we can empower the entire labor movement. How can we empower the employers? How can we work together? And how can we look beyond the courtroom and see where the worker and where the employer is coming from? They are all coming from workplaces. They are all coming from the families. How can we support those spaces as a court so that there is committee in the work that we do? The court is not content merely to determine disputes brought before it. It is actively engaging with the key stakeholders to shape labor justice in ways that are transformative. By convening this forum of the Environment and Labor Relations Annual Symposium and Exhibition number 3, the court is helping our country not only to comply with the international labor standards, but also to harness them into meaningful protections of our people, including the vulnerable, women and children. I am sure when the PS has to report in Geneva or to the International Labor Organization, you have an easy time giving a report, which is really not the case to the other countries who do not have systems and structures like the ones that Kenya has put in place. So Kenya has made bold commitments towards the protection of children's rights, and at the heart of these commitments lies Article 53 of the Constitution, which enshrines the right of every child to free and compulsory basic education, the right to be protected from misanders or exploitative labor, and the best interest of the child as a principle that guides all decisions affecting children. This is not a mere aspirational provision. It is a binding constitutional standard that has informed progressive jurisprudence across our courts. Our Children's Act 2022 has also entrenched protections that align with the international conventions, such as the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, towards ensuring that no child is subjected to exploitative labor practices. We in the judiciary, on our part, we have interpreted and applied these provisions in ways that promote child-centered and rights-based approach to justice. I am proud to note that the Kenyan judiciary has gone further by establishing specialized children's courts. These courts are designed to provide child-sensitive spaces that protect the dignity of our child and prioritize their welfare in judicial processes. We always ask ourselves, as judges, as magistrates, as staff, if we were involved in any infraction or anything that brings us into contact or in conflict with the law as a child, would we have been who we are today? So we take it very seriously that our child has been brought to court instead of that child being in school on being with the family, and we do whatever it takes to make sure that we reconnect that child back to the family and back to school. And by handling these matters in a specialized forum, we ensure that justice for children is timely, it is also humane and effective, because we realize any child who is either in conflict or in contact with the law, that happens because of a failure of a system, and the child may not be responsible for that failure of a system. There is no way a child can be responsible for their own poverty that finds them working and not going to school. That failure of a system lies somewhere else, and that is the greater examination that we should be doing as a court. In addition, the judiciary has developed a child justice strategy. This strategy provides a coherent framework for ensuring that every child who interacts with the justice system is protected, is heard, and is treated with dignity. It aligns with international standards and complements our constitutional promise by strengthening coordination among institutions, enhancing training of judicial officers, and ensuring that the rights of children are placed at the center of justice delivery. We take your undertaking, or is it a promise, Bwana PS, that you're going to provide legal aid, pro bono services to children. You're going to provide training to our judges and judicial officers and staff who are dealing with these matters. We really welcome that collaboration from the ministry, because these initiatives form part of our broader vision and our blueprint, the social transformation through access to justice, which is not simply a plan. It is our philosophy for building a judiciary that transforms the society through justice. We don't serve ourselves, we serve the people, and we want the people we serve to be empowered to know their rights and know when their rights have been violated and know where they can seek for remedy. And as such, we are deliberate on ensuring that the judiciary remains independent, the judiciary remains accessible, efficient, responsive, and protective of the rights of all, especially the vulnerable and marginalized. We may not have a forum to express ourselves, especially when there are violations of rights, because we do not want to be seen to have descended into the arena of disputes. We want to remain independent so that when these disputes come to court, we can be independent arbiters. The fight against child labor, including worst forms of child labor, is squarely aligned with this vision. By protecting children from exploitation and ensuring their access to justice, we are investing in a generation that will uphold the values of fairness, accountability, and human dignity. I like what Madam Caroline said, that we are because somebody held our hand. If we can go out to those children and transform their lives, they will have a story to tell. So our blueprint teaches us that justice is not just about resolving disputes, but also about transforming our society in tangible and people-centered ways. The judiciary has a critical role to play, but we cannot walk this path alone. Eliminating child labor requires a whole of society approach. It demands the involvement of Parliament to strengthen and update legal protections. It requires the executive to implement policies and allocate resources. It needs the private sector to commit to ethical business practices. It calls for civil society and communities to monitor, advocate, and protect our children throughout, including at the grassroots. In short, every institution and every citizen has a role to play. This symposium therefore provides an ideal platform for us to forge this collective responsibility by reflecting together, sharing experiences, and co-creating solutions. We move close to building a Kenya where no child is exploited. Allow me to emphasize this. The discussions which will emanate from this symposium today must go beyond words. They must translate into actionable commitments that change the lives of our children who face or are at the risk of child labor. The symposium should not end as a series of insightful presentations. They must become a turning point in how we collectively address child labor in Kenya. I therefore challenge us to strengthen systems of accountability so that no employer, no institution, no individual can exploit a child. And we can expand access to justice through responsive procedures and legal aid methods and models, and empower children and families to stand for their rights. We can empower them to know their rights through schools and know that their place, our children, is in schools and not workplaces. In conclusion, let us remember that justice for children is justice for the society. In protecting their rights, we protect our collective future. In giving them education and freedom from labor, we give our nation new leaders. We give our nation new innovators and new dreamers. In eliminating child labor, we honor not just our constitutional obligations, but our moral duty as human beings. I urge all of us in this symposium, whether we are judges, policymakers, leaders, champions in our labor movement, in the employment movement, whether we are religious leaders, we are in academia, all citizens present here in this symposium, we live with a renewed sense of commitment to fight against child labor. Let us ensure that the conversations that we hold here give birth to concrete actions that protect the dignity, the dreams and the rights of our children. Together, through justice, collaboration, and commitment, we can eliminate all forms of labor. It is now my distinct honor and privilege, and on behalf of all of us, to declare the Employment, Labor Relations Annual Symposium and Exhibition number 3 open. I wish you all very insightful and very fruitful deliberations during the symposium. Let us all live here as champions of justice for our children. Let us all live for the dignity of our employees. And let us encourage our employers to stand for the rights of employees and to stand for our Constitution and our labor laws. Let us encourage them and pray for them, God to give them providence so that they can continue employing so many of us in dignity. God bless you and God protect you throughout the symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable CJ. May I request you to take a seat as we move into a short award.